My name is Isaiah Sanders. I'm a first-year master's student in the MS&E department, particularly in the computational social science focus. I pretty much grew up in Colorado, but we moved around a little bit because my dad was military. I was actually born on base at where the United States Air Force Academy is, and that's where I graduated from with my undergrad. So I guess the cool thing about it is that it's on my birth certificate and my diploma now, but kind of all came full circle. Yeah. And now I have this opportunity to come to Stanford to earn a master's degree and actually exercise the last bit of my eligibility on the football team too. So excited about the next year and a half. As a kid, I've always kind of been interested in the way that things worked. I remember, watching TV, and there was a show called like How It Works or something like that, and literally to show you like even just simple little products that we use, but just how they manufactured them. See, at one point, I really thought about being a mechanical engineer, and then kind of when I arrived at the academy, I realized, okay, there's a few other challenges that I need to tackle here too. So, and I knew I also kind of had interest in the business world, so I was thinking about kind of pursuing a management degree. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do pretty well my first academic year at the academy. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can handle somewhere that's still kind of challenging in the engineering realm, but maybe somewhere in the middle. And I think system engineering is where I landed at the academy. And so that's kind of like more of a breadth thing than a depth thing, but helps pull together all the different pieces. In that degree, I focus on human factors. So was interested in kind of the behavioral science around products and stuff like that too. So I kind of had that engineering background from the academy, and that's kind of where it came from. And then I felt like the MS&E program kind of helped bridge that gap between some of that engineering principles and lens and perspective that I've gained already, and the kind of entrepreneurial business side that I still want to pursue down the road. Long-term goal is to eventually, come back, earn an MBA, and then be able to get in a social enterprise to help minority communities. Breaking it down into the two pieces, right? So the computational aspect of it, I feel like is very much the engineering part of me, of who I am, how I think, how I process, how do I optimize things, and how can we make things better for people. Then the social sciences piece, right, is looking at those relationships, looking at society, looking at how people kind of connect, which is obviously an area that I've been very interested in. I feel like, unity has kind of been a big mantle on my life, just in my relationships and the work that I've done with nonprofits and ministries and things like that. And so when I can put those two together in a degree and look at, the computational way of how do we, make things better for people in society, it would have been one of the top picks for me as far as an area of focus. My father's actually the CEO of Colorado Uplift, which is a nonprofit based out of Denver, back in Colorado. And they basically look at developing lifelong and life-changing relationships with underprivileged urban youth. And so I've had some opportunities to kind of work through that company, right, or through that nonprofit, and try to support some of the kids there. Then I've also worked with Fellowship of Christian Athletes has been kind of a big organization for me growing up, and just being a part of that. And a lot of what I've gotten to do across some of these different nonprofits is I do a lot of spoken word poetry and like rapping and just creative performing and things like that too. So I've gotten to kind of speak these messages of just hope and encouragement, light and truth to a bunch of high schoolers and college students over the past few years, which has been a huge blessing for me. It's probably one of my favorite things to do, is be able to step on that platform and do that for other people, just to give back, like I said, to the youth that was around me. Was a great opportunity as an officer in the United States Air Force. And once my tenure is done there, I'll, like I said, kind of look at trying to come back to grad school, earn an MBA, and be able to eventually, like I said, step into the world of social enterprise with a specific focus towards helping minority communities, because I'm Black on my father's side, Mexican on my mother's side. And so I really just want to be able to give back to underrepresented people groups, and do things there, and have different ideas on maybe what kind of businesses I'd want to start to particularly do that. But one kind of idea is centered around the idea of trying to bridge and restore family units, and kind of the relationship particularly between children and their fathers, and just with their parents and things like that, and being able to help make sure that children are receiving the mentoring, the nurturing, the care and compassion that they deserve, and also providing resources for parents to feel bold and strong enough to continue to lead in those households in impactful ways. the next step for me is saying, okay, given that I've had these privileges, how can I take some of these things and leverage them, leverage the opportunities I've had for education, leverage the opportunities I've had for networking and connections, leverage, whatever experience I've gained from a military experience and now this Stanford experience, that I know other people in those underprivileged, communities that we're talking about, that they don't always get to receive. And so my big thing is, whether it's an MS&E degree from, one of the top institutions in the world, or having the undergrad that I have from the United States Air Force Academy, and just all these different things, I want to be able to kind of bottle that and take what I've learned and maybe even create some sort of curriculum that I can help provide for people who have lower access and lower education, so we can start training and equipping them to be business leaders, to be CEOs, to be leaders in our communities and things like that, that maybe they don't see themselves as being right now. Because I think one of the biggest issues in minority communities is lack of representation, right? The narrative, the current race narrative in America, I believe, is so much centered around, a Black man's way out is through sports or through rapping, right? And I want to help change that narrative. And I think this MS&E degree helps me do that, because I can show people, no, we can be engineers, we can be leaders, we can be CEOs, we can do these other things too. And we can do those successfully. And so that would be the other part that I'd probably just add onto that, as part of, why I think the MS&E degree from a school like this is so special. Honestly, so far the experience class-wise has been great. I mean, I know I had I think it was Urban Studies 131. It was like very impactful people, but just having the opportunity to basically, on pretty much a weekly basis, hear from different CEOs and founders of different nonprofits and just people who are in the business of creating positive social change. I think that's just an amazing opportunity, not only to obviously hear about the different companies that maybe I hadn't heard of before, but you get to realize some of the very innovative ways that they're creating a positive change, but also just hearing the stories of the entrepreneurs themselves and kind of how they got to where they were and the challenges that they faced, but also some of the ways that they went about navigating those obstacles. And then I think another class that's been awesome as well is just MS&E 272, Entrepreneurship Without Borders. And again, having opportunities to hear from guest speakers from around the world, really, and having kind of this more global international perspective on entrepreneurship, and seeing, what makes it effective here, and what are maybe some of the specific geographic or cultural hindrances or opportunities that kind of present themselves as you move across the globe. And so, and Chuck Easley has been, an amazing professor there. I think he's done a great job with that course, just making it welcoming, engaging, and then providing the opportunities, obviously, for learning, not just through lecture, but also through a group project that I think helped me learn a lot too, just with working on how to, kind of start our own startup. I'll attack it from kind of a broader perspective first, because for me, Stanford's been, a dream school since I was a kid. Just knowing the prestige of the university, the location, the opportunities to connect, just so many different things, and obviously the prowess of the athletic department here as well. And so it's been a dream school. And so having an opportunity to come here, obviously, was super excited. And then obviously coronavirus kind of hit, and things obviously haven't been, maybe what I thought they would be. But I think despite all that, right, because I know that there are circumstances affecting people globally right now due to the COVID-19, I still, I was talking to one of my friends here the other day, because there's another USAFA graduate here that I've been talking to, and I was like, you know what, despite everything that's happening, I really don't think that there's too many other places I'd rather be besides Stanford. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's challenging. I mean, there's work you got to put in for classes, work I got to put in for football, and managing, obviously, just the mental, emotional toll of everything that's going on for, me as a Black man in America, and knowing everything that's kind of happened this year. And regardless of all that, just the way that I've seen, Stanford respond, the way that I've seen community kind of come around me just with the football team, the way that I've just had an opportunity to grow and really learn a lot more about myself as I've had to deal with these challenges that Stanford's presented me with. I think it's been tremendous, and I've been super grateful even in the short time that I've been here. So I'm hopeful, that at some point I'll get to experience Stanford more for what it normally is, right, under more normal circumstances. But regardless, given the circumstances, I think there's still tremendous opportunity for growth, for connections, and really just to continue to become all that, God called me to become, so that I can continue to serve other people. I mentioned the rapping spoken word thing earlier. I'm actually trying to learn how to produce and make the beats myself so I can kind of have more autonomy over the whole process. So even as I sit here, my keyboard's literally right here, because I've been trying to learn, wanting to learn piano and guitar, but I can't claim that I know them yet. And those are just more things that I'm working on in the free time. It's right now my life's a lot of school, football, and then on the side, trying to learn music and watching videos and trying to just pick up music theory and things like that. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then other than that, I just kind of goof around, play video games with my friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I think music is just an art, and even dancing. I think those are areas of passion for me, just because I love being able to creatively express yourselves and really kind of the beautiful thing about spoken word and poetry to me is that I can give you a message that I could otherwise say to you in 5 minutes, and we could just have a conversation, and there's a good chance it could still be impactful. But I think the thing about the spoken word that helps make it special is just by being able to use wordplay, double entendres, and just different things like that, figurative language, I can help engage your intention a little differently and still present a very impactful message. And really show you my heart that not only I have in trying to give you the message, but that I had in living the message, right? And I think that that's just been a beautiful way that God's allowed me to try to story tell a little bit.